Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. It's another Premier League prediction show that we've got in store for you today. However, as we know at the time of recording, half of the Premier League games that were set to be taking place in this upcoming round of fixtures this weekend have already been postponed as COVID continues to run roughshod through the world and of course football and the Premier League as well. As we know, like I say, 5 of the 10 Premier League games are set to be taking place at the time of recording this weekend. The other 5 have already been postponed. Of course, that could change over the course of the next 24 to 48 hours or so. More games could be postponed. All the games could be postponed. There's already been talk this week that the possibility of postponing the entirety of the season until COVID kind of gets contained a little bit more, or dies down a little bit, or wherever the case may be, may happen. It could even be that the season gets completely null and void entirely, as obviously everybody is worried about the new variant of COVID that is currently running, like I say, roughshod through the entire world. But I've got to go with it at the time of recording, and at the time of recording we have 5 out of the 10 upcoming Premier League games that are set to be taking place this weekend. And I'm going to be treating them like they are going to be definitely going ahead, giving my analysis and predictions. You know the drill by now, basically, on this, as we hope that everybody who is suffering with COVID a speedy recovery. Before I go on with the video, though, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both as always and probably greatly appreciated. But for now, let's get into the predictions. We would have begun with Saturday's lunchtime kickoff, which would see Manchester United play at home to Brighton at Old Trafford. However, this game has been postponed, obviously, like I say, due to a COVID outbreak. The game earlier this week between Manchester United and Brentford was postponed, and of course this one has followed suit. So there'll be no Manchester United or Brighton action this week. One game that hasn't been postponed as of right now is going to be taking place at Villa Park in one of Saturday's 3 o'clock games, which will see Aston Villa host Burnley. Villa were 2-0 winners last time out when they beat Norwich, whilst Burnley haven't been in action for over a week because of their game against Watford being postponed. But the last time we did see Sean Dyche's side in action, they endured a goalless stalemate with West Ham. Villa have begun life under Steven Gerrard extremely well. 4 wins out of 6 games. They're in a good vein of form right now with some good performances despite obviously 2 losses. And really, they should continue that good vein of form right here with this game. They should be winning this game in all honesty. However, don't count out Burnley immediately. Maybe the extra game will take its toll on the Aston Villa players. Will the extra time that Burnley have had to recover from that goalless draw with West Ham go in their favour? There is a lot of things that are going into this game that make it not exactly the foregone conclusion that maybe this suggests on paper. Regardless, the safe bet here is to be a Villa win, and that is exactly what I'm going for. My prediction is another victory for Steven Gerrard's side, as I'm going to say 2-0 to Villa. Next up would have been Southampton versus Brentford, but that is another game that has been postponed. Another game postponed via COVID would have been Watford versus Palace at Vicarage Road. Watford also had their game midweek against Burnley postponed as well, so this is another game that has been postponed. West Ham versus Norwich was set to take place at the London Stadium on Saturday. However, again, this is another game that has been postponed due to COVID. Saturday's evening game, though, is set to take place. It has not been called off as of right now, and it will see Marcelo Bielsa's Leeds United take on Mikel Arteta's Arsenal at Ellen Road. Leeds, of course, endured that humiliating and embarrassing 7-0 defeat to Manchester City midweek, whilst Arsenal put together back-to-back wins with a 2-0 victory over West Ham in their last game. It's an interesting one, this one. Leeds have been extremely underwhelming this season, as I've said time and time again, many times throughout the season so far. But Tuesday, despite City being very, very good, was a completely different level for them. Like, that was humiliating, that was embarrassing. And of course, going forward, their fans will be demanding and expecting a response here with a good performance against a Gunners side who come into this game, like I say, off the back of back-to-back victories from last weekend, beating Southampton, to midweek beating West Ham, and they'll be looking to make it 3 games on a winning streak of 3 games. I'm torn. I can honestly see that Arsenal will be winning this one, but at the same time, I also see that Leeds may be able to get a point from this game. I'm going to go with the favoured result, though. I am going to go with an Arsenal victory and say that the Gunners come out of this as 3-1 winners. But don't be surprised if Leeds do manage to get a point from this game. Everton versus Leicester was set to be taking place on Sunday. However, this is yet another game that has been postponed due to COVID. Sunday will see Chelsea travel away to Molineux to take on Wolves, a game that as of right now has not been called off. Wolves were victorious in their last game thanks to a 1-0 victory over Brighton, while Chelsea dropped points further thanks to a 1-1 draw against Everton. It's an intriguing game, this one, between two sides that have been known to have good defensive records this season. However, in saying that, whilst Wolves have given both Liverpool and Manchester City a run for their money in real tough games in recent weeks, only losing by the single goal to nil, Chelsea have actually been conceding more goals recently in recent weeks and leaking more in their defence. And like I say, have dropped points and lost ground on both City and Liverpool above them. It's going to be an interesting game, this one. We've seen Chelsea stutter in recent weeks. Their performances haven't been as great as what we've known them to be. Wolves have been solid and disciplined defensively, and they also have a threat on the counter-attack, which could be their source and key to maybe getting a decent result in this game. And I actually think we're in for a pretty interesting game ahead. I could genuinely see this going any which way. I think I could see Wolves possibly nicking it and getting all 3 points. I could also see Chelsea just about edging it and getting grinding out a very good 3 points for them. But I'm going to call it down the middle. I'm going to say that this game will end in a draw, and I'm going to say that this game will end 1-1 come the final whistle. In our penultimate game on this list, we see Newcastle take on Manchester City at St James's Park. It really doesn't get any easier for Newcastle, does it? They came off the back of a defeat in midweek to second place Liverpool, with the Reds winning 3-1 against the Magpies. And now they come into this game against top of the table Manchester City, who are of course coming off the back of the absolute thumping, that thrashing, that putting to the sword of Marcelo Bielsa's Leeds United with that 7-0 victory from Pep Guardiola's side. Rob bottom Newcastle coming into this game off the back of back-to-back losses, first to Leicester last weekend, then to Liverpool in midweek, and now they turn their attention to a game against top of the table Manchester City. It definitely, like I say, does not get any easier for Eddie Howe's side, especially when you're at the rock bottom point of the table. It doesn't get any easier at all. What makes it worse? Not only are City coming into this one sensing blood, coming off the back of the absolute bloodbath they dealt to Leeds United midweek thanks to that 7-0 victory, but Alan St-Maximin also came off during their defeat to Liverpool and is very unlikely to play here, and of course he's going to be a big miss for Newcastle, a big part of Eddie Howe's counter-attacking game plan, I'd assume, going into this game especially, and therefore it might be a very, very, very long afternoon for everybody associated with Newcastle United, because let's face it, I'm going to safely bet and assume that 99.9% of us are probably only seeing one winner here, and it definitely isn't going to be Newcastle United. I'm going for a 4-0 Manchester City victory here. I pray that Newcastle will get some sort of upset, but I just can't see it myself. And finally, in what I believe could be the main event of this round of Premier League fixtures, the weekend's possibly biggest game to take place this weekend at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's going to be Spurs versus Liverpool on Sunday afternoon. If this game is to go ahead, Spurs, of course, haven't been in action for several weeks now, and it is possible that this game may be again called off. As I say, it's been a while since we last saw Spurs in action. They've had obviously COVID issues that have made some of their games be postponed. Whilst, of course, the last time we saw Liverpool was in that 3-1 victory on Thursday night. But the Reds do have COVID issues for themselves. It's going to be an interesting game, this one. If this one is to go ahead, of course, Tottenham may be returning to football this weekend following snow and coronavirus issues forcing the club to postpone a number of their games. But fitness could be a real issue for them, especially with having big name players reportedly contracting COVID, and then obviously not having that much time back on the training pitch to really sort of get back to full fitness and everything. So that could be an issue for Spurs going forward. And of course, it's going to be a horrible game if that is to be the case, because against Liverpool, you're probably going to have to expect them to cover a lot of ground, do a lot of running and chasing after the ball, and a lot of pressing at that. And so it might not be the best case scenario for those Tottenham players to get back into the swing of things, so to speak. Well, so Liverpool, like I say, they've got a few absences of their own due to COVID. Hopefully for them, it hasn't spread any deeper within the squad. But I think if they want to be Premier League champions, they should be winning this game, as they in reality do tend to do, whether it's via just the one goal. But Liverpool are in frightening form right now, and especially the one named Mohamed Salah. Of course, he's in scorching red hot form, and I would expect that to continue in this game should it go ahead. I'm going to say 3-1 to the Reds. But of course, as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of the upcoming round of Premier League fixtures, or half the round of Premier League fixtures that are set to be taking place at the time of recording? What do you make of this whole COVID thing? Do you think we should suspend the season? I'd love to know your thoughts on that, because that is a very interesting topic and debate to have on its own. But as of right now, what are your own predictions for the games that are coming up this weekend? Who are you taking out of your fantasy football teams? Who are you putting into your fantasy teams? Who do you see having a good week? Who do you see having a bad week? All of that kind of stuff, but especially the predictions, of course, I'm sure will make for interesting reading down below in the comment section. Otherwise, hit that like button on it and enjoy the video. Subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things always and forever be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Premier League prediction show, and I will see and speak to you all again soon in another video.